जे को सिख गुरु से ते सन्मुख होवै ता सन्मुख सिख कोई, जियो रहे गुर नाले। गुर के चरण हृदय ध्याए, अंतर आत्मै समाले। आप छाड़ सदा रहे परणे, गुर बिन अवर न जाने कोई। कहे नानक सुनो संतो, सो सिख सन्मुख होए। जे को गुर ते विमुख होवै, बिन सतगुर मुकत न पावै। पावै मुकत न होर थे कोई, पुछो बिबेकिया जाए। अनेक जूनी परम आवै, बिन सतगुर मुकत न पाए। फिर मुकत पाए लाग चरणी, सतगुरु शब्द सुनाए। कहे नानक विचार देखो, बिन सतगुर मुकत न पाए। If a follower of Guru keeps himself before the Guru and accepts his dictates and teachings and keeps company with the Guru at heart, then only such a follower is called a true Sikh. Such a Sikh remembers the God by inculcating the lotus feet of the Guru at the heart, and then leads the life in accordance with Guru's teachings by getting rid of one's ego. Moreover, such a person does not consider anyone else as a savior. O Nanak, such a Gursikh who leads a life of complete surrender to the Guru is a true Sikh. If some faithless people become disrespectful and unmindful of the Guru, then they can never get salvation unless they seek pardon from the Guru once again. They can never get salvation anywhere else, and if you do not believe it, then ask some learned ones for confirmation. Then you will find that even if one goes through the cycle of transmigration and wanders through different lives, one cannot get salvation without the grace of the Guru. Once someone seeks refuge at lotus feet of Guru and asks his pardon, then even such a faithless person can get salvation through Guru's guidance. O Nanak, if you ponder over it, you will realize that without the support of the Guru, one cannot get salvation from any other source. So once a person turns away from the Guru, then there is no other solution except seeking pardon from the Guru. आवो सिख सतगुरु के प्यारे हो, गावो सच्ची बाणी। बाणी ता गावो गुरु केरी, बाणिया सिर बाणी। जिनको नदर कर्म होवै, हृदय तिना समाणी। पीवो अमृत सदा रहो हर रंग, जप्यो सारंग पाणी। कहे नानक सदा गाओ, एह सच्ची बाणी। O dear true Sikhs, followers, come to me and let us sing the praises of God through Guru's word. You must bear in mind that only the Guru's hymns are to be sung as there are. These are the purest and the highest forms of God's praises. People who have been blessed with God's grace are the only followers who have inculcated such hymns in their hearts. O dear Sikhs, enjoy the eternal bliss and permanent joy by singing God's praises through partaking this nectar of true name, which would unite you with the God. You should remember God's true name always, like a papaya which craves for the raindrop ceaselessly. O Nanak, I would advise everyone to sing the praises of God by reciting this pure nectar of Guru's word always. सतगुरु बिना होर कच्ची है बाणी। बाणी ता कच्ची सतगुरु बाझो, होर कच्ची बाणी। कहंदे कच्चे सुनदे कच्चे, कच्ची आँख वखाणी। हर हर नित करहे रसना, कहया कछु न जानी। चित जिन का हिरलया माया बोलन पैरवाणी कहे नानक सतगुरु बाझो होर कच्ची बाणी. Apart from the Guru's word, rest all utterances and songs are false and untrue. O true Sikhs, remember all the other utterances apart from Guru's word, Gurbani, are not worth it and they are false. And if someone tries to mislead you, do not follow them. It is to be clearly understood that all other hymns are not true and worth reciting. The reason for the conclusion is that all those people who either sing or listen to such hymns, they are themselves false and transient, and it would be worthless and useless to sing such hymns. In fact, they utter God's name with their tongues all the time, but they neither understand the true meaning of God's true name, nor they have inculcated it in their hearts. Such self-willed people, they're always engrossed in worldly falsehood, and they just utter these hymn songs like the whistling breeze, and their talks is just like a whiff of the air without any substance in it. O Nanak, I would therefore clarify and advise all that accept the Guru's word, Gurbani, rest all are untrue and worthless songs without any meaning. Gur ka shabad ratan hai, हीरे जित जड़ाओ, शब्द रतन जित मन लागा, एहो हुआ समाओ. शब्द से ती मन मिलिया, सच्चे लाया पाओ. आपे हीरा रतन आपे, जिसनो दे बुझाए. कहे नानक शब्द रतन है, हीरा जित जड़ाओ. The Guru's teachings are like invaluable gems studded with the jewels of true knowledge. The Guru-minded people who are truly impressed by the gems of Guru's words are immersed in Guru's true name by inculcating God's name in their hearts all the time. They have thus developed love and devotion for the God by completely inculcating true name in their hearts through Guru's guidance. O Nanak, Guru's teachings are the gems of complete detachment from worldly pleasures. They are imparted with jewels of true knowledge and the gems of real detachment. But this point is appreciated and understood by the person whom God bestows with His grace. So the clear understanding and meaning of Guru's teachings and jewels of hymns is attained by the person whom God is pleased with and whom that God bestows with His grace. शिव सकत आप उपाय कह करता आपे हुक्म वर्ताए. हुक्म वर्ताए आप वेखै, गुरमुख किसै बुझाए. तोड़े बंधन होवै मुक्त, शब्द मन वसाए. गुरमुख जिसनो आप करे सो होवै, एकस स्यों लिव लाए. कहे नानक आप करता आपे हुक्म बुझाए. The God who creates this world through the union of Shiva and Shakti then directs them to follow His will after creating the human beings. First the God issues His dictates on human beings and then supervises all their action as to how much they obey His dictates. But all this realization is gained by few Guru-minded people through the grace of God. Some Guru-minded people are enabled by the God to develop love for Him. O Nanak, the God Himself is the Creator and then enables man to follow the dictates of God and makes them realize the value of His will. सिमृत शास्त्र पुण्य पाप विचार दे, तत्तै सार न जानी, तत्तै सार न जानी. गुरु बाझो तत्तै सार न जानी. तिहि गुणे संसार ब्रह्म सुता, सुत्या रैन बिहाणी. गुर कृपा ते से जन जागे, जिन्ना हर मन वसिया बोले अमृत बाणी कहे नानक सो तत पाए जिसनो अन दिन हर लिव लागै जागत रैन विहाणी. All the 27 Smritis and 6 Shastras discuss and talk about performing good and bad deeds or sins and virtue sections in this life, but they never mention anything about the real fact, that is the existence of the God and His realization, or what is or perfect truth. In fact, we cannot appreciate or realize the real truth of life without Guru's guidance. As with the study of Shastras or such books, we cannot get the information about how to attain God. The whole world is engrossed in three-pronged worldly falsehood, consisting of lust for power, greed, peace, with the result that the whole life is spent in wasteful efforts without realizing the truth. But the people who have inculcated God in their hearts have been awakened from the slumber of ignorance with Guru's grace, and they sing the God's praises with the help of Guru's word. O Nanak, such people who are engaged in reciting God's true name day and night attain the God finally, and such people spend their life with the acquisition of true knowledge and the attainment of God. माता के उदर में प्रतिपाल करे सो क्यों मनो विसारियै मनो क्यों विसारियै वरदाता जे अगन में आहार पहुँचावे उसनो क्यों पोह ना सकी जिस नौ अपनी लिव लावे अपनी लिव आपे लाए गुरमुख सदा समालियै कहे नानक ये वरदाता सो क्यों मनो विसारियै. O friend, how could we forget that God who bestows us with protective care and sustenance in mother's womb? Person who is bestowed with God's love and devotion cannot undergo any other sufferings. In fact, the God Himself blesses such a person whom He is pleased with, and with His love and remembrance, then such Guru-minded people always remember the Master and the God who sustains such people through His personal care. O Nanak, we should never forget the God benefactor who is the greatest power on earth, bestowing on us all His favors and benedictions during this lifetime. जैसी अग्नि उधर में तैसी बाहर माया माया अग्नि सभी को जी करता खेल रचाया जाते सपाणा तां जम्मया परवार पला पाया लिव छुड़ के लगी तृष्णा माया अमर वरताया एह माया जित हर विसरै मोह उपजै पाओ दूजा लाया कहे नानक गुर प्रसादी जिन्ना लिव लागी तिन्नी विच माया पाया. The human being has to face the fire of worldly falsehood after being born, just as the fire in mother's womb, as both are having the same effect of heat inside and outside. The God Creator has created this world as a wonderful drama from the beginning. This woman was born in the world when it pleased the God, and whole family felt happy on his birth. When this woman got detached from God's love, the worldly falsehood Maya took charge of this person, who got interested in possessions and desires for worldly pleasures. This is all due to the worldly falsehood which forces human forget the God and get involved in the love of worldly things due to dual-mindedness. O Nanak, the Guru-minded person who is engaged in the love of God through Guru's grace has attained the God while living a householder's life in the midst of worldly falsehood. हर आप अमूलक है मुल ना पाया जाए मुल ना पाया जाए किसै विठो रहे लोक विलाए ऐसा सतगुर जे मिलै तिसनो सिर सौंपिया विचों आप जाए जिस दा जियो तिस मिल रहे हर वसै मन आए हर आप मुलक है पाग तिना के नानका जिन हर पल्लै पाए. We cannot evaluate and gauge the greatness or vastness of the God who is invaluable gem, and no other person can even know the extent of God's greatness. Many people have tried and craved for gaining access to God's vastness. We should offer ourselves as a sacrifice to the Guru who helps us getting rid of this ego from the mind. The soul, which has been separated from the God, gets united with the prime soul, and finally the individual inculcates the God's love in one's heart. O Nanak, the God is really invaluable, and the person who is fortunate enough gets absorbed, imbued with Vahiguru's love.